Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mapping Your Education. My name is Jen Duggan, and I'm a student recruitment officer here at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. I'm thrilled to welcome you all here tonight, and I'm also thrilled that I'm being joined by some fabulous colleagues. I have Deborah Peart with me, I have Trent Barwick with me, and I have Emily, one of our outstanding students. Why don't all of you take a few minutes just to introduce yourselves to our guest tonight? Deborah, do you want to start?
I would love to start, Jen. So once again, my name is Deborah Peart. I am a student recruitment officer with the University of Toronto, Mississauga, and I will be in your chat this evening. And I'm going to be joined by my colleagues, Emily and Fada. So it's going to be the three of us back there. Jen, I'm going to come back at the end and I'm going to present you with some amazing questions.
I can't wait. It's one of my favorite parts of the evening. Trent, do you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you. So my name is Trent, and I work in the Center for Student Engagement. So my role looks at student transition programs and other ways to get involved on campus. You'll be hearing a little bit more from me in a bit, but I'm happy to pass it back to Jen.
Thank you so much. And Emily, one of our outstanding student ambassadors. Emily, do you want to share a little bit about the student experience, or you will be sharing your student experience with us, but you want to give us a little bit of an intro into who you are?
Yes, so I am Emily, and I am in my fourth and final year at UTM, and I've done a double major in biology for health sciences and chemistry, and you're going to hear a little bit more about my transition from high school to university today.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. Feel free. You can head into the background now, and we will get started with our presentation, and I will bring you up shortly. So before we actually get into the nitty-gritty of everything, I want to take a moment just to acknowledge the land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it's been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. And today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we truly are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So what I'd like to do now is actually bring Emily back so that she can provide you with the student perspective. Emily?
Thank you for that introduction. So again, I am in my final semester at UTM, and I've been focusing my studies on biology and chemistry, and I've added a minor in psychology. But I'm going to explain to you, how did I get here? So in high school, I was one of those students who tried really hard, and I really enjoyed learning. But I was also lucky to have some amazing role models in my life, from my teachers and student teachers who let me learn just a little bit more about what university education could do for me. I would speak with my teachers and student teachers to find out about the different research opportunities they had while they were in university, and it was just an eye-opening experience. Further, though, I was a competitive dancer, and I danced outside of school at a local studio. And my dance teacher there was one of my biggest inspirations to starting a university journey. She was a graduate from U of T herself. While running a highly successful dance studio, she went on to pursue her master's degree while teaching everybody. So she was incredibly busy. And when she was teaching us dance, she would always have such grace and wisdom, and that was something that I aspired to have. But she would also use her background in kinesiology in order to explain to us how you can make different muscles move the way you want them to in dance. And these experiences helped me to see that university was a way that I could specialize my education specifically to my interests. My interests did differ, though. In high school, I was super interested in TV shows like Grey's Anatomy and medical dramas, and I had my own experiences in doctors' offices. So that made me feel like I wanted to pursue a career in medicine. And so that's when I started exploring life and health sciences for an undergraduate degree. So I started to research different schools and programs that were available in grade 11 to make sure that I had the right prerequisite courses. And for me, I was trying to find programs that would let me avoid taking physics. And then I would use my guidance office to find the view books for the different schools in the area, and then did a deeper dive into research by using the different admissions websites. Now, I was super detailed in my research, and I looked at everything I could find, even including if the campus had ice cream or not, because it was my favorite food at the time. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that you pick your university based on if they serve ice cream, but it could be something you put on the checklist. Now, when I was in the beginning of grade 12, I applied to 5 universities right away as soon as applications opened, and was lucky to receive offers in March of that year. So on my March break, I went and did campus tours to help me narrow down which school I was most interested in. And that led me to pursue a degree at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. And I hope you enjoyed learning about my path from high school to university. I'm going to bring this back to Jen.
Thank you so much, Emily. I love the fact that you researched whether or not we had ice cream. If I had been thinking about it, that's something that I probably should have thought about. But I'm curious, is ice cream still one of your reasons for attending the university? Is it still one of your favorite foods?
It's still one of my favorite foods, but part of being at UTM has let me try so many more other foods that I hadn't tried before.
That's amazing. I agree. The food at UTM is incredible. Well, thank you so much, Emily. Hopefully everybody learned kind of from your experience, choosing and going through that process of applying. And so now what we're going to do is take a look at the process that you might want to take as students looking at universities, kind of mapping, obviously, your education, where you're going to go. And we're going to use UTM and the University of Toronto just as examples to kind of illustrate what we're talking about. So thank you so much, Emily. We will welcome you back at the end of the presentation for our question and answer. It's always a pleasure to share the screen with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving into the section that's going to kind of cover this whole process of mapping your education as a high school student. First and foremost, we have to recognize that there is a role reversal. So parents, you'll acknowledge this. Right now, when your student's in high school, you're really in the driver's seat. You're the person that's making a lot of those decisions for your student. You're providing them, with permission to go on extracurricular trips, or you're paying for their lunch. You are really driving their education. You're working with the school and the guidance counselors, and you're working with your student. But once your student actually joins us in university, the roles actually switch. So moms, dads, guardians, you actually become the passenger in this scenario. We kind of assume that your students, when they join us, they are adults. And so they're responsible for their education and their basically their day-to-day lives. So as an adult, they are going to be responsible to pay their tuition fees, their loans, their credit cards, things of that nature. And it's also important to note that the onus is on your student to actually respond to our inquiry. So where you might in high school be able to reach out to the school to get some updates, you wouldn't necessarily be able to do that when your student is in university, because we do have privacy laws that are in place. Now, when we take a look at the difference between high school and the other post-secondary options for your students, it's really, it's quite obvious that, in grade school, a foundation really has been built, and then high school builds on that foundation that kind of leads to the different career pathways and post-secondary pathways that are available for your students. As you can see, there are the changes between each level of learning that your student is going to transition through, and we all kind of build on one another. When you're looking at high school, it is very high touch. It's a very tight-knit community. You've got relatively small class sizes that are available. And then when you take a look at college, you see that it's fairly skills-based. They do have degree options that they provide, but a lot of their programming is geared towards actual careers that the students can get into. You will find that the classes are a little bit more larger in size, but they're still fairly prescribed. When you look at university, though, university is really all about thinking. Although we do have a lot of programs that are tied towards specific careers, it's really that process of thinking and learning and exploration that students are looking at. Universities tend to be the largest post-secondary option for students as well. And really, when we look at university and the way that we teach, it's different from college because college is fairly prescribed, but university is really about independent learning. It's an opportunity for students to really, kind of read up and research in the areas that they are most interested in, and then they're able to apply that knowledge through a wide variety of, say, hands-on opportunities as well. As I said, the universities are quite large compared to the college programs, but fantastic opportunities. So why would you consider a university? This is where I'm going to share a little bit about UTM with you and the University of Toronto. So as you can see from this slide, these are just a few of the facts that we actually have about U of T that might be useful when it comes to researching. So you can see our undergraduate student body, how many alumni we have, the different types of programs that we might be offering. And the University of Toronto, we have 91,000, just over 91,000 students, with 80% of those students in undergraduate programs here at U of T. We do have 14,500 faculty members, more than 7,000 staff members, over 160 librarians, and more than 600,000 alumni throughout the globe, which is pretty impressive. Now, here at UTM, when it comes to our undergraduate programs, there's actually 155 different programs that your students can choose from. And that's across the arts, sciences, and business areas, including programs that are unique to the Mississauga campus, which would include communication, culture, information, and technology, our joint Sheridan and UTM Theatre and Drama Studies program, as well as the premier forensics program in Canada. Those are only offered here at the UTM campus. So as you're conducting research, it's really kind of important to try and figure out what programs are offered where. And when you take a look at the different resources that universities like UTM and the University of Toronto have, you'll be quite surprised at what you can study and where you can study it. And that's a really great first step into conducting your research. Now, parents, when you are helping your student do their research, listen to what the student wants to do. It's one thing to say, my student is going to be amazing. They're going to be a doctor, a teacher, a lawyer, and have these career dreams for our students. But it's also another thing to recognize that university is about learning, and students are far more successful when they're able to follow their passions. And the great thing about university, and it's a perfect thing about us here at the University of Toronto and UTM specifically, is that students have the ability to combine areas that they're passionate about. So they actually have an opportunity to build a degree that works for them based on those different areas that they are passionate about. And students and parents, be prepared for students to change their minds. Change your minds, explore different areas with respect to programs. But even once you're in university, be prepared to change your mind as well. Because remember, it's all about exploration and finding those paths that are the best paths for you. Now, another great thing that we have here at the University of Toronto to help you conduct your research are various opportunities to actually explore the programs. So this example on this screen here it's our undergraduate admissions bulletin, and it's probably the handiest piece of literature you're going to get from any university, because it actually shows all 700 of our programs, our undergraduate programs. What you'll find on a publication like this is really the names of the admissions categories, what the average is to be admitted into that particular program. You're going to find information about prerequisite courses at the high school level. For anyone joining us internationally, we do have an international admissions bulletin as well, which will prove incredibly helpful and provide you with either out of province or out of country prerequisite courses that you're going to have to complete. It's a really handy reference to use, but your exploration is going to be a little bit more in depth as well. We have program plans available for students that are interested in programming here at UTM. And so you're able to get a really great snapshot of what your career could look like in UTM in that particular program, including what your first year courses might look like, what kind of job opportunities are available for you. So program plans are a really great resource for you. We also have our programs directory, and that's for all of the programs that we offer here at the University of Toronto. You will find it online. And then, of course, we have our Discover UTM or Discover U of T Mississauga opportunities for you as well, where you can explore, not only more programs, but you have opportunities to engage with students. You have opportunities to engage with our faculty and our staff as well. So all of these different things combined really help students conduct that research that they need in order to help make that decision for themselves when it comes to where they want to go and what they want to study with their post-secondary career. Now, this is just another example of what we have going on right now for students, and you can absolutely join us for any of these opportunities as well. So we do have our virtual showcases that are going to be going on between March and April. These are really great opportunities to explore programs more in depth and to speak with professors and staff in those particular programs, and even some of our students will be there as well. We also have our Discover UTM, which is a scenario very similar to this, but we're really going through, what UTM is all about. And then you have an opportunity to engage with students and ask your questions and have a tour. And we do have a brand new virtual tour that should be completed shortly as well. And again, all of these things are going to help you, go through that process of researching the different opportunities for you. And I hope that you take us up on these offers. We would love to have you join us. Now, UTM Future, fantastic resource. We do want you to connect with us on social media, and we want you to be able to book a tour, things of that nature. So it's a fantastic opportunity, and we really do encourage you to join us. Now, once your child begins the application process, or once your student begins the application process to university, these are really the three areas that you always want to be aware of. So deadlines. Deadlines are absolutely crucial. Students, what I recommend that you do is get yourself a wall calendar with those erasable markers so that you can actually put on it what the deadlines are for any of the programs that you're applying to. So what are the application deadlines? If you have supplementary information that you have to provide, when is that due? And make sure that you adhere to those deadlines. Parents and guardians, I know that a lot of us really want to, make sure that we support our student through this process. And so we're really happy to take on that responsibility. But I do encourage you to provide a little bit of the onus to your student to know what these deadlines are, because obviously when they come to us, we want them to be well prepared. So deadlines, absolutely crucial. You've got your OUAC deadline or the application deadline. You've got supplementary application deadlines, like I mentioned, English language facility test deadlines that you have to submit. There's even residence deadlines for submitting your application. So you want to make sure you're on top of those. Now, communications. Communications are key as well, because we're going to reach out to you in a wide variety of ways. So for us at U of T, we're going to reach out to you through email. We're going to reach out to you through your Join U of T web portal. We want to make sure that you know what's going on and you're able to track your application. So make sure that you're checking your email on a regular basis after you've submitted your application. Also make sure that you're checking your Join U of T web portal on a regular basis as well. And I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. We know that the emails can be quite overwhelming, if they're not treated with some sort of urgency or responded to in a timely fashion. So here's some pointers that should help you. Students, kind of get into the habit of checking your emails on a regular basis, like daily. Okay, I would say the closer you get to the admissions deadline, the closer that you get to any of the deadlines that we have set for you, make sure that you're checking it on a daily basis at least. Ensure that you, parents, if you're the ones that are actually receiving those emails, make sure that your students are aware of what was in that email. Oftentimes, you'll find that some emails kind of slip into your junk folder, so I do recommend that you check that as well. Acknowledgement emails are important because they're going to provide students with the next steps that they have to follow in that application process. Oftentimes it means that they're going to be given something like an applicant number or a student number or a login information to get into a web portal. So we want to make sure that they're aware of that as well. It is imperative that students set up the student or applicant portal with each school that they've applied to as soon as possible. Don't sit on that, because again, that's probably going to be your gateway to track your application. So you want to make sure that you get that set up and you can go and check it on a regular basis. Now, students should also be in the habit of logging into their various student and applicant portals on a regular basis. It could be daily, it could be a couple of times a week, or it could be weekly, but I wouldn't stretch it any further than that. Again, you want to make sure that you're kind of actively participating in your application and checking those portals, I would say daily. Now, conditional offers. If your student has followed all of the steps that we've said above, they've been tracking their application, they're submitting everything on time and adhering to those deadlines, and we see that they're really, really good students, we might provide them with an offer of admission. And our offers of admission are conditional offers, which means we've placed conditions on their offer, and they will indeed have to meet those conditions in order to start with us in September. Now, what does a conditional offer mean? Obviously, those conditions are in place. You can't actually start with us until you meet them. And we're going to tell students exactly how they have to meet them. So for example, students must receive their Ontario Secondary School Diploma. You need to do that to graduate from high school in Ontario anyways, but that could be a condition. So if you don't actually meet that diploma, you haven't ticked off that box, and therefore you can't actually start with us until you meet that condition. Students must perhaps have a specific grade in a course or specific overall average in order to start with us. And we'll be checking those averages, early in the summer, just to make sure that students have met that as well. So you want to make sure that you're ticking off those boxes. Again, things like an English language proficiency test, that might be a condition as well. And you want to be able to say, I've cleared all the conditions, I'm good and confident I can start in September. We do highlight the conditional offer because sometimes it can provide students with a false sense of security. They believe that, hey, I was admitted, I don't have to do anything now. I can just kind of sit back and relax and have a great time, which you can, but you still have to be able to meet those conditions. So this is really when the students have to make sure that they're on top of everything, that they're meeting those conditions outlined in their offer, because unfortunately we can actually withdraw offers and we don't want to. So make our lives easy and your lives easy, and hopefully we'll be seeing you in September. Now, when it comes to the application timeline, really everything starts in your grade 12 year. So in your senior year or your grade 12 year, there's usually going to be an application deadline for you. So for international students, it's typically in early November. If you're looking for early admissions, we do recommend November as well. And we're going to have everything posted for you online. It will be very easy to see when those deadlines are going to be. And again, you can put that on your wall calendar so that you're keeping track of that deadline. The OUAC, or the Ontario University Application Center, will have a deadline to apply. Typically that's in mid-January, and that would be really for Ontario students or Canadian students, anybody that's not really looking for that early offer of admission, or somebody perhaps that is in high school in Ontario. That deadline in mid-January is the one that's really going to apply to the majority of you. We do recommend apply as soon as you know which universities you want to apply to. Go ahead and do it. As long as you have your PIN number, or as long as you have access to that application, go ahead and complete it. Now, between January and April, that's when you're going to have to send in any additional documentation that we're looking for. So that could include supplementary application, that could include an audition if you're entering into the Theatre and Drama Studies program, that might include completing your Star Res residence application. Any of these things will typically fall or have a deadline falling somewhere between January to April. And again, we're going to make it very clear when those deadlines are going to be. And then from February to May, that's when we send out our admissions decisions. I will say we send them out typically and traditionally on a monthly basis, but don't panic if you haven't received an offer of admission in February, for example, because not an awful lot of students do. The majority of students are actually going to receive an admissions decision somewhere between March and May. It's absolutely fine if you and your best friend applied to the exact same program and your best friend was admitted in February and it's the end of April and you're still waiting. Don't panic. It still just means that we're looking for more grades from you. You're still in the running. Everything is fine. So don't put too much stress on yourself that you have to have that offer of admission in hand in February, because sometimes it's just not realistic. Now, we're going to move on and talk a little bit about your Join U of T web portal. And the Join U of T web portal is there It's an applicant website. It's specifically for you. It's really there to make things very easy for you when it comes to tracking your application. And you will find that the majority of universities, if not all of them, as well as the colleges, have something very similar set up for students. And again, you want to make sure you're checking this on a regular basis, if not on a daily basis, then on a weekly basis at the very least. For us, the web portal is there so that you can see your application. You can see whether there are any outstanding documents that you have to provide. If we in admissions actually require something else from you, we're going to list that in your web portal. You're going to have the StarRes application accessible to you. So it really is one-stop shop for everything applicant-based. And again, make sure that you're checking that at the very least on a weekly basis. You're also going to want to start considering how to pay for your education. And this is a key point, or a key thing that you want to do in that research process. So here at the University of Toronto, we do have the U of T planning calculator. It is absolutely phenomenal. It allows you to kind of build what your budget is going to look like based on the program that you want to get into, or that you've been admitted into, based on whether or not you have RESPs, whether you're going to be living in residence, whether you need a meal plan. So when you're looking at your budget, this is incredibly handy. And before you even consider things like scholarships, bursaries, grants, and things of that nature, it really makes the most sense that you understand what the cost is going to be to come to school. So the planning calculator, it's absolutely phenomenal. We love, 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 love it. And I do encourage you, even now, even if you're in grade 9 or 10, go ahead and play around with it. It's not set in stone. You're not signing a contract or anything with it. It's just a way for you to understand what we're looking for and what you should be looking at when you're trying to build that budget to come to school. Now, there are a lot of different financial supports that are available for students when they're attending the University of Toronto and the University of Toronto, Mississauga. So there are admission scholarships such as the automatic entrance scholarships. There are application-based scholarships as well. We do have in-course scholarships, which are awarded to students in their second, third, and fourth year, just based on what they've been studying and what their financial situation might be. There are community entrance scholarships. You have government aid. So for students in Ontario, that's the Ontario Student Assistance Program. If you're out of province, you'd be applying to that province's financial aid program, and then that could come to the University of Toronto, Mississauga. If you're out of country, you can actually try and apply to your own state or your own country's financial aid program as well. We have a really cool work-study program as well, where students are able to have jobs here on campus, very well-paying jobs that kind of works around their academic schedule as well. And this could be a really fantastic way for students to help offset the costs to go to school. The great thing about the work-study programs is that you don't have to worry about missing class to come to work, because your work schedule actually works around your academic schedule because you are a student first. And then we also have UTABS, and UTABS is essentially a top-up program. So it's there to help bridge that gap between the money that you have and the money that you need to go to school. So all of this information, you're going to be able to find access to it on our websites. We're going to have lots of webinars and different events to help you explore these different options for you. But as you're doing your research now, it makes sense that you just come and check out, scholarships, Google scholarships at the University of Toronto, or perhaps we can have that put in the chat for you. And to give you a little bit of insight into the guaranteed entrance scholarships, there's a lot of money available to our students that have some really fantastic grades. So, when you're looking at this, remember that our guaranteed entrance scholarships are really those scholarships that are awarded to students just based on the average that they happen to have at the time that we admit them into the program. Typically, if you're eligible for one, we're going to send you notification that you've received an entrance award. It's usually going to be sitting in your offer letter or follow shortly thereafter. And it's really going to provide some more information about what you've been awarded. And then if you want to know how it's actually going to be applied to your U of T account, it just comes into your account and it kind of reduces the amount that you would owe. We also have some really great scholarships, such as the U of T Scholars Award, which is $7,500. There's a President's Award, which is $10,000. So there's an awful lot when it comes to entrance scholarships that students can use to help them pay for their education. And these are just domestic scholarships. We actually have some incredibly robust international scholarships as well, such as the U of T International Scholars Award. This is actually fantastic. I know that, you know, we do find that with these big international scholarships, students aren't necessarily advised of them at the point of admission because a lot of them will actually have applications that we have to review. But again, there's some really fantastic opportunities for students. And I do encourage you to take a look at the scholarships that we have to offer. So you can actually head to utm.toronto.ca/future. Or if you want to, you can even just Google, you know, U of T Awards Explorer. That will actually bring you the resources so you can see what kind of awards that we have available. Now, another thing that we're going to encourage you to do is start thinking about what you're going to do when you're here. When you think about it, you're actually buying a whole experience when you're paying for your university. So yes, it's all about learning, it's all about education, but it's also about having that experience that's going to make this process of learning at Canada's #1 university, the largest university in Canada, exceptional. And so we're going to do our best to make sure that you are set up for success. And one of the things that we're going to encourage you to do is understand your resources. So what is it that we happen to have at UTM or at the University of Toronto that's going to support you while you're in school? So that could be your academic skills center, where you're going to be able to go and, you know, get some academic supports like the writing center, which is going to help you be a better writer. There are a lot of tutoring opportunities that are available for you. We're also going to encourage you to seize your opportunities. Go and travel abroad. We have relationships with more than 130 different countries around the world where you can actually go and you know, have those international experiences and gain credits towards your University of Toronto degree. There's professional experience years for you. So, you know, if you're interested in having that hands-on components, you know, co-op or an internship component, certain programs do have that available for you. There's lots of work study programs that I spoke about. There's service learning opportunities for you. And then we also want you to have fun. And I know I've gone backwards on this slide, but I wanted to save the fun bit for the end of this slide. When you're having fun, when you're engaged, when you're involved in things on the campus, we know that chances are you're going to get better grades. We also know that you're actually far more prepared to be successful once you graduate and you get a job. So we're going to encourage you to get involved, whether it's joining one of our student clubs, whether it's joining an intramural or a varsity sports team, whether it's joining the student union. When you get involved, it just makes the experience that you're having with us at the University of Toronto, Mississauga, that much more incredible. And again, you're purchasing that big experience. And I also want to point out that when you do get involved, we're going to help you out when it comes to keeping track of it by providing you with a co-curricular record, which is a really great way for you to kind of differentiate you from any other student that's applying for a job, because you can bring it with you and reference your experiences on campus to help answer any of those questions in an interview. So with that, I just want to point out that we would love for you to connect with us anytime you have questions, anytime, you know, perhaps you want to learn more about, you know, the experiences that you can have at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. If you would like to learn about the research opportunities that we can provide you in the form of webinars. So definitely you can connect with our office. That's it for my little portion of the presentation. What I'd like to do now is actually bring Trent back up on the screen so that he can share some information with you as well to hopefully round out this whole evening for you. Trent, do you want to come back up?
Hello. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. How's your night so far, Trent?
Oh, it's great. I really enjoy. I always like hearing all the things you have to say. I love the piece on getting involved and all of that. And I'm actually excited to expand on that. That's a perfect segue.
And I can't wait for it. So I'm going to head backstage and you can take over and I will join you all again shortly.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. And hello, everyone. As I said at the beginning, my name is Trent and I work in the Center for Student Engagement here at UTM. I'm really excited today to talk to you about how we at UTM connect you to the school, to the campus, and to one another. So first, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the changes that you can expect when you attend university. I know Jen spoke about that a little bit, and I'm going to expand on some of those ideas. because while there are many changes, these changes bring upon really cool opportunities. We'll spend a little bit of time as well looking at how we at UTM welcome and support you on your journey before, during, and after your transition in. And finally, we will look at some ways to get involved here at UTM and some of the options that are available to find your fit. So university is a lot different than secondary school. And I realize Jen touched on that already, but these changes do bring upon really cool opportunities. One change, which may seem obvious, is that you have this new amazing campus. You have a beautiful campus tucked in the middle of both a city and a forest. You can walk along paths to see our new buildings, the beautiful trees, and if you're lucky, you might even see a deer. You also have a new and different schedule. Class doesn't always start at 8, and it doesn't always end at 3. While this may seem a little bit harder to keep track of, you now have the power to make your own schedule. And with these new surroundings and this new schedule, you have more freedom and flexibility, but there are also new academic expectations. University is very different from high school, and the university expectations can be a little bit more. But as you will see later, we have tons of programs and events to ensure that you are ready to overcome any obstacles that you encounter while you're here. So your journey at UTM is full of changes, challenges, and amazing moments. All along this journey, we at UTM have fun and unique ways to support you to ensure you have everything you need to make the most of your time here. As a future UTM student, your journey starts now. All along your process, from before you apply all the way to graduation, we have programs and opportunities to make you feel at home and able to succeed. So before you even apply, we start connecting with you at UTM. And as funny as it may sound, we already have programs and offerings and ways for you to get to know campus and get involved. These include things like tours, discussions, workshops designed just for you. We have access days, which are really cool opportunities for you to get to know what university is all about and see a little bit of UTM. There are also events on campus, such as sporting events or community events. These are a great way to see the campus and understand what goes on here at UTM. So applying to university is the start of this amazing journey, but it may seem a little confusing after that. We at UTM have designed a roadmap of programs to help ensure that your transition in and through university is a smooth one, where you can make the most out of your experience. It starts with Eagle Connect and works its way through orientation, launch, and then on to however else you want to get involved. But let's start at the beginning. The first step is pre-arrival. From the second you accept your offer, UTM has programs and resources to answer all of your questions and make you part of the UTM community right away. One of the main things we have is called Eagle Connect, which we'll talk about shortly. But in addition to that, we have a full website dedicated to all of the needs of new UTM students. If you simply search UTM New Student Website, you'll find it there. Worried about picking courses? You don't need to be. We have workshops designed to answer all of those questions. But let's talk a bit about Eagle Connect. So Eagle Connect is a new online program that is designed to help you with your transition to UTM. It starts in June, right after almost everyone has accepted their offer. And there are weekly online modules to cover everything you need to know for your transition into the fall. You get to hear about any deadlines, tasks, upcoming events, as well as learn more about UTM. Not only that, but you get to connect with your future classmates before you even arrive on campus. The best part? Each community has an upper year peer mentor who guides you through the summer and is there to answer any and all of your questions. Each week through the summer, there will be interactive sessions where you can meet your peers, ask the questions, and connect with your future classmates online. So the summer passes and there's the time in which you first arrive at UTM. One of the most exciting times on your journey will be that first week of school. UTM offers a ton of amazing programs to help you get comfortable with campus, learn more about UTM, and most importantly, you get to meet your classmates. Orientation week is probably the main event most students talk about, but that's not all we have. We have Head Start, which is an academic preparation event designed and run by the Academic Skills Center on campus. We also have our student union orientation, as well as specific population orientations as well. But let's talk a little bit about O Week. O Week is one of the landmark events UTM offers, And it's a week-long program with daily events to help you get to know campus, your academics, and most importantly, your new classmates. There are sessions, events, and fun games and activities all week. It's a great way to get introduced to all of the amazing things UTM has to offer you. But your transition doesn't just stop after that first week, and UTM has some amazing opportunities for you to continue to connect with one another and have some fun on campus. We have Launch, which is a program designed specifically for new students to help them gain the skills and knowledge they need to succeed. Additionally, we have programs like UTM1 and writing courses, which help teach fundamental skills that you need. Let's talk a little bit about Launch for a second. So Launch, which is a first-year transition program, runs in the fall term and focuses on your specific academic stream. So that means you'll be aligned. If you look on the slide, there is a business section, there is a science and math section, and a humanities section. You get to meet up with your classmates and connect with ones who may not even be in the classes that you're in. Some of the topics covered are academic skills, personal wellness, and then there's a chance to connect with some faculty members. There are interactive weekly sessions run by yet another upper year peer mentor in your academic area. It's a great way to learn more about UTM, being a student, have fun, and meet people. However, your journey does not end after your first year, and your first year is not the only time in which you can get involved. UTM has so many clubs, groups, and other ways to engage on campus. There's something for everyone at UTM, and if there isn't, you can make it. On your screen is just a small sample of the many ways you can get involved in your time at UTM. I want to thank you all so much for your time, and I hope to see you at UTM one day soon. And Jen, I will invite you back to join me on the screen.
Thank you. Trent, I just love it. I learn something new every single time that you speak. I have to say, I'm a huge fan of Eagle Connect, and I love the fact that we have all of these different resources that are there to help our first students in that transition. And then we have additional resources throughout the entire time that they're here with us. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. Don't leave just yet. What I'd like to do is actually bring Deborah and Emily back up so that we can hopefully dive into some of these questions. Hi, everyone. Deborah, did we have any questions in the chat?
You know what, Jen? We had some amazing questions in the chat.
Of course we did.
The first question that I do have is actually for Emily from Daniela. And Daniela would like to know, Emily, did you live on campus in your first year?
So yes, I did live in residence in my first year. I got a townhouse style unit. So I had 2 roommates, but I also had access to a kitchen, a bathroom, and a living room. And it was a really fun experience and a great way that I could meet some friends that I still speak to today.
You know, I am pretty amazed about your situation there with just you and another person in a townhouse.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting experience, like being, I was 17 when I moved in because I had a late birthday and having all that space. It was definitely an adjustment.
Did you make friends with anyone else in other styles of residence? Like, have you been in Oscar Peterson?
Yeah, so through like lots of different things, I've met lots of people on campus. And so I have been in most of the residence styles.
That's amazing stuff. Now, I have another question from Tara H. And I know that we kind of discussed this a little bit earlier, but what's it like on the UTM campus? And you know what's so great about this? We have perspectives from a student, from staff as well. So how about we start with you, Jen? What's it like on the UTM campus?
I love the UTM campus. So to give you a little bit of background on myself, I've actually had the opportunity to study and work at multiple university campuses, and UTM is absolutely my favorite. It's nice and close to home. It's beautiful. It's green. It sits on 225 acres of protected green space. We're surrounded by woods. Trent, I know, actually talked about the deer as well. And I love the deer when they walk past our window. Deborah, you sit with me when we're on campus, you get to see the deer. But I just love the atmosphere. I love the feeling. I love the fact that it's such a small community that you get to know the students, the staff, and the professors, regardless of where you're situated in the university. So that's my perspective. I love it.
How about you, Trent? What are you thinking?
This is a great question, and I will give the answer that UTM is kind of the best of both worlds campus. And by what I mean by that is it has that small campus feel. So I unfortunately did not go to UTM for my undergrad, big regret. However, I did experience the small campus environment, which I loved. However, UTM also has the big campus connection. So we have the opportunities to connect with St. George and other places. So the on-campus feel is very intimate, it's small, you'll get to know people, there's lots to do, but you also get the benefits of the big university, which is a really cool thing.
It is. And Emily, and then I'm going to say what I think.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with everything that has been said to this point. And I have been on other university campuses visiting my friends, and I definitely love the UTM feel for it being smaller, but still having all of the same access. We still have lots of sports teams you can be a part of, hundreds of clubs you can join. There's still something that's there to interest you, but you get to interact with your professors and meet lots of students. And having all of the nature around is definitely beautiful.
It is absolutely gorgeous. I have worked on all three campuses as well. And UTM has that close-knit feeling. It's enclosed. And honestly, you can go somewhere and find a whole bunch of people, or you can go somewhere and find absolute solitude underneath the blossom cherry tree. Am I right, Jen? Right outside of our office.
Absolutely right.
And a whole gaggle of geese.
Always the geese. The geese, honestly, when you're thinking about rush hour traffic, the geese are going to be the ones that delay you coming out.
The little goslings. We've got it all. Now, the next question I have is from Deanna, and she wants to know if you could please explain about specialists, majors, and minors, because I know that can get a bit confusing. Jen, can you explain those things?
I absolutely can. It would be my pleasure. So specialists, majors, and minors are essentially categories of your programs of study, or what we like to call your subject posts. So a specialist degree means that the majority of the courses that you're taking throughout your time here at U of T in an undergraduate program will be in one specific program of study. So it could be, let's say, biology, for example. It could be in that category. So your specialist degree, you're really focusing on biology, and you're taking other courses and things like that on the side, but really your degree is biology at UTM, or the University of Toronto. A major, you're going to break this up. So you're either going to earn a double major, or you're going to earn a major and 2 minors. And so really, when you're looking at this, it just comes down to whether you want to study 2 or 3 programs as opposed to 1 in the specialist program. So when you're studying a major, again, that's just how we kind of divide up the number of courses that you're going to take in order to complete your degree requirements. So yeah, whether you want to study 1, 2, or 3 different areas is up to you. If you're like me and you love 3 different areas, just remember that at least one of those 3 areas has to be a minor.
That makes perfect sense to me. 20 credits, honors degree, University of Toronto, that's what we award.
You know, I want to touch on one more thing. Sorry,
okay.
Deborah, because
go ahead.
You mentioned credits, and I know a lot of students hear credits. I have to get all these credits to graduate. But credits the number of credits you need to graduate can be different depending on the university that you go to. So essentially, what you want to think about is your university career boils down to 5 courses per semester, 2 semesters a year, for 4 years if you're a full-time student. And wham bam, as long as you're taking the right courses, and we'll help you make sure you can graduate with your degree.
That is perfect. Thank you so much, Jen.
Oh,
yeah, Serena has a question. Jen, you're going to have to answer this one as well. And this question is more about how do we come up with these averages when we're making decisions about applications?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So essentially, and this is very broad as well. So it's going to be U of T, UTM specific, but it can also be considered pretty accurate for the other universities as well. Essentially, we're looking for your top 6 grade 12 U or M courses. Now, we know in times of COVID, things have kind of been rattled up a little bit. And so, what we have to do with quadmesters, perhaps you have a prerequisite course that's kind of at the end of quad 4 and you're worried about that. Well, we're going to look at your prerequisite from grade 11. And we do look at grade 11 grades. And the way that we kind of mix and match the courses is really to try and help you achieve the highest academic average possible. But we do want to make sure that you have strengths in those prerequisite areas as well. So remember, grade 11 grades, they are important. We will look at them, but ultimately those grade 12 grades are the ones that are going to help you clear your conditions and start with us in September.
Perfect explanation. I couldn't have done it better, Jen.
Thank you very much. I'm sure you could, but thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, Emily, my next question is for you. In your program of study, which I already know what it is, can you tell me what's the most interesting course that you have taken thus far?
So there is always like so many interesting courses, and it definitely changes all of the time for me. Right now, it is CPS 401, Research and Development in Science Education. So this is an independent research study course that you have to apply to be able to get into, and you take it in your 4th year. But you're actually getting to create problem-based learning problems for high school chemistry students. So I am making the assignments that people in the Peel District School Board might actually be doing in their classrooms. And I had no clue there would be something like this available in my undergraduate degree. You always hear about different you going and doing research or working in a laboratory, but I didn't know about an opportunity being like this available.
So Emily, basically what you're saying is that anyone right now who's watching, you could very well have created some problems for them that they need to solve.
Yes, it is possible.
Right, that's absolutely amazing. Trent, I have a question for you. Now, there are these mentorship opportunities available for current students in CSE. Can you explain a bit about that as a current student? So these students who may be coming in might have these opportunities to mentor.
Yeah, so in the CSE, we have a bunch of different mentorship opportunities. And depending on your level of interest or where you want to be mentored or do the mentoring, there's lots of places to go. We have those, and I spoke about them, those first-year transition mentorship programs like Launch. But if you really like being a mentor, well, you could then try to become one. So each year we also hire mentors in the CSE, and we have other programs such as UTM Lead. There's grad mentorship, there's tons of programs. So when you're first coming in, or you could be in your 4th year and be like, you know what, I'd like a mentor now. We basically have opportunities all through your experience to be a mentor or be mentored, which is pretty cool. And I like that about UTM.
That's absolutely amazing. Now, Jen, I have another question for you. And T. Douglas would like to know, can you expand a little bit more on theater and drama? And I'm actually kind of curious, during this current situation that we're in, what does this look like now?
Oh, brilliant question. Brilliant question. And it's a good thing you're asking me, Deborah, because I am the contact for students that are applying to theater and drama studies. So theater and drama studies are what I affectionately call TDS, because it's very literal. It's a professional acting program, a professional theater program. It is a joint program between UTM and Sheridan College. So you do definitely get the best of both worlds in that capacity. You're earning a U of T degree, so an internationally recognized degree from the University of Toronto, but you're also gaining a diploma in theater from Sheridan College, so the actual professional acting. With this particular program, the intake is quite small, so they really only take about 25 students a year, which is fantastic because it means that students are actually, benefiting from incredibly small class sizes. They're being trained from professionally trained actors, directors, musicians, and dancers as well. So it's a phenomenal program. If you are passionate about theater, definitely check it out. Feel free, you can always reach out to me as well. I'm happy to give you more information and put you in touch with some people that can really help you out. And how it looks this year is really unique, but they have done the most incredible things. So it's difficult to think of actually staging a play in times of COVID when we're all online and virtual, but it's working out incredibly well. So we actually have had 2 full performances that have been put on by our students. It's still collaborative, so you still have students in first and second year that are building the sets. They're working with those costume designers, making sure that everything is set, and then you have our actors that are actually performing, and they're doing it in a virtual setting. And so it's really unique. It's an incredible set of challenges for the actors and the students themselves, but they're doing such an amazing job with it as well.
You are the theater expert.
That's me.
That's definitely you. Now, the one question I love to ask, and Emily already knows this about me, the one question I love to ask when I want to, wrap things up to get a good sense of what's going on here. Emily, if you could go back and if you could talk to yourself and tell yourself something you wish you had known then that you know now, what would that thing be?
So that would definitely be to just take the risk, take the jump, join things, go participate, and get involved. In my first year, I did start by joining the UTM competitive dance team, and that got me some connections to be able to start talking to people that were in upper year studies and learn from them. But it has taken all the way till my 4th year to start doing things like being a mentor for other students and working in a work study position as a student ambassador. And part of that was just because I was scared of being told no, that I wouldn't have the right skills on my resume. But I'm young. I'm going to learn those skills. I just need to show up. And the same thing will happen for you. If you are excited and try, that's the best piece of advice that I can give you. And you might be told no a few times, but that's okay. That's how we learn.
That's exactly how we learn, right? That's exactly it. Now, Trent, I have the actual final question. I know you guys thought that was the final one, but Trent, you get the actual final question. This question is from Tara H. And she would like to know, what is orientation going to look like this year?
That is a great question, and a question I'm sure a lot of people are wondering. So as you all can imagine, orientation week has to look a little bit different given all of our circumstances. And this past fall, we went 100% virtual, and there were still a lot of amazing programs. For this coming fall, we are having to abide by whatever the university dictates we are allowed to do, and we're ready for everything. So if we are still online, we have some amazing online orientation programs. If we are able to do things on campus, we're prepared for that too. Realistically, there will probably be some online component, which is actually a good thing, because if there are folks who can't move in early or who can't get into Canada in time or things like that, we have all of these amazing orientation events. We have academic orientations, games, opportunities to get to know one another. We've really been spending a lot of time making sure that incoming students this year aren't missing out on those amazing pieces of transition. So there will still be fun opportunities to meet your classmates. There will still be opportunities to hear from faculty. And whether it's online or in person, it will be awesome.
I don't doubt it, Trent. Now that was my final question, Jen.
Oh, Deborah, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for those questions. They were absolutely fantastic. So I want to take this moment to thank Emily, our amazing student, to thank Trent. You're always so informative. Deborah, I miss your face. I'm so glad to see you again. I love it when we get a chance to work together. But ultimately, I want to thank every single one of our students and their family members who've decided to join us tonight. I really appreciate you being here. Hopefully you've gained a little bit of information about how to start mapping out your education and what's going to happen when you join us at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. It's been an absolute blast to be with you all tonight. Make sure that you wash your hands, you wear your mask, you stay physically distanced, keep doing your research, and hopefully we will see you on campus and maybe in a virtual setting again sometime soon. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a fantastic night.